Recorded Books and One Click Digital present The Ottoman Endgame, War, Revolution, and the Making of the Modern Middle East, 1908 to 1923, by Sean McMeekin. Narrated by Richard Poe. A quote from Isaiah chapter 8, verse 9. Associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces. And give ear, all ye of far countries. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Introduction. The Sykes-Picot Myth and the Modern Middle East. 92 years after its dissolution by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the Ottoman Empire is in the news again. Scarcely a day goes by without some media mention of the contested legacy of the First World War in the Middle East, with borders then being redrawn now in the wake of the Syrian civil war and the rise of the Islamic State of Iraq, Syria, and the Levant, or whatever its latest territorial iteration. Is it the end of Sykes-Picot? Asked Patrick Coburn in the London Review of Books, assuming that his readers will have heard of the two men who, it is said, negotiated the agreement to partition the Ottoman Empire between Britain and France. As the war's centennial arrived in 2014, Sykes-Picot moved beyond historical trivia to the realm of cliché, a shorthand explanation for the latest upheaval in the Middle East that rolls easily off every tongue. From the ubiquity of media reference to them, one might suppose that Sir Mark Sykes and Georges Picot were the only actors of consequence on the Ottoman theater in the First World War, and Britain and France the only relevant parties to the disposition of Ottoman territory, reaching agreement on the subject in, so Google or Wikipedia informs us, Anno Domini 1916. As glibly summarized by the Claude Rains character in David Lean's classic film Lawrence of Arabia, the gist of the traditional story is that Mark Sykes was a British civil servant, Monsieur Picot was a French civil servant. Mr. Sykes and Monsieur Picot met, and they agreed that after the war, France and England would share the Ottoman Empire, including Arabia. The popular resonance of the Sykes-Picot legend is not difficult to understand. In our post-colonial age, imperialism and long-dead imperialists are easy targets, on whom one can safely assign blame for current problems. Sykes and Picot are stand-ins for the sins of Britain and France, whose centuries-long project of colonial expansion reached its final apogee with the planting of the Union Jack and the French tricolor in the Arab Middle East, where it all, by a kind of poetic justice, some would say, began to go horribly wrong. Britain's backing of Zionism in the Balfour Declaration of 1917 was, in this dramatic tale of hubris, followed by nemesis, a step too far, which awakened Arabs from a centuries-long slumber to rise up against the latter-day Crusaders, Europeans and Israelis alike, who had seized their lands. The more recent rise of pan-Islamic movements, such as the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, and the Islamic State, groups that all strive to erase artificial European-imposed state boundaries, now appears to be putting the final nails in the coffin of Sykes-Picot. It is a seductive story, simple, compact, elegant, and easy to understand. But the Claude Rains summary of Sykes-Picot bears little resemblance to the history on which it is ostensibly based. The partition of the Ottoman Empire was not settled bilaterally by two British and French diplomats in 1916, but rather at a multinational peace conference in Lausanne, Switzerland in 1923. Following a conflict that had lasted nearly 12 years, going back to the Italian invasion of Ottoman Tripoli in 1911, and the two Balkan Wars of 1912-1913. Neither Sykes nor Picot played any role worth mentioning at Lausanne, at which the dominant figure looming over the proceedings was Mustafa Kemal, the Turkish nationalist whose armies had just defeated Greece and, by extension, Britain in yet another war, lasting from 1919 through 1922. Even in 1916, the year ostensibly defined for the ages by their secret partition agreement, Sykes and Picot played second and third fiddle, respectively, to a Russian foreign minister, Sergei Sazonov, who was the real driving force behind the carve-up of the Ottoman Empire, a Russian project
Sample complete. Ready to continue?